In a village plagued by secrets and despair, one man's forbidden pact unleashes a curse that steals the destinies of the innocent. Chief Udo's wealth, admired by all, hides a sinister truth. He traded lives for luxury, and now, the price must be paid. When the whispers of betrayal grow too loud to ignore, the villagers confront the darkness that has been consuming them. A brave young man named Frank uncovers the shocking source of the suffering, leading the community on a perilous journey to destroy the cursed shrine and confront the fearsome Ogugu snake. Will the villagers triumph over the evil that has haunted them for years? Can stolen futures be reclaimed, and will Chief Udo find redemption before it's too late? This suspenseful tale of greed, courage, and second chances will keep you on the edge of your seat, proving that no one can escape the consequences of their actions. Don't miss the story of Yimioba, a village transformed from despair to hope, from fear to unity. The ending will leave you breathless. Watch now. In the heart of the village of Yimioba, lived a man named Chief Udo. He was the richest man in the land, with a mansion so grand that it towered above the humble mud huts of the villagers. Every new year, Chief Udo threw open the gates of his estate and gave generously to the people. Bags of rice, goats, yams, and even gold coins were distributed among the villagers, leaving them in awe of his kindness. But behind the smiles of gratitude, whispers filled the air. How did Chief Udo become so wealthy so quickly? The elders wondered. He was just an ordinary farmer like us a few years ago. Others dismissed the suspicions, saying, "Maybe the gods have blessed him. Who are we to question such fortune?" Despite the rumors, Chief Udo remained a hero to most of the villagers. The children danced when they saw him, and the women sang songs of praise for his generosity. Yet, Chief Udo's eyes often seemed distant, as if haunted by unseen shadows. One fateful night, as the moon bathed the village in silver light, a hunter named Ekin returned from the forest with an unsettling tale. "I saw him," Ekin whispered to his friends. "Chief Udo, deep in the forest, kneeling before the Ogugu shrine. He was talking to something that hissed." The Ogugu shrine was feared by all. It was said to be home to a powerful snake spirit that granted wealth to those brave, or foolish, enough to strike a bargain. The hunter's story spread like wildfire, but no one dared confront Chief Udo. Little did they know, Chief Udo's wealth came at a terrible cost. He had made a pact with the Ogugu snake, trading the destinies of others for his riches. Every act of generosity was not utter kindness but an attempt to appease the guilt that gnawed at his soul. As another new year approached, the village buzzed with anticipation. Chief Udo's grand giveaways were the talk of Yimioba. But deep within the forest, the Ogugu snake stirred, waiting for the day when its price would finally be paid. Years ago, Chief Udo had been a struggling farmer in Yimioba. The rains had failed, his crops had withered, and his debts had grown heavier than he could bear. Desperate and ashamed, he wandered into the forest one fateful night, searching for a solution. It was there that he stumbled upon the dreaded Ogugu shrine. The shrine was a small, eerie clearing surrounded by ancient trees whose twisted branches seemed to reach for the sky. At its center lay a mound of earth, and atop it called the Ogugu snake, a creature with shimmering green scales and piercing yellow eyes. It watched Udo as he approached, its hiss filling the silence of the night. "Why do you come to me, mortal?" the snake asked, its voice deep and hypnotic. Udo fell to his knees, trembling. "Great Spirit, I'm a broken man. My family is starving, my land is barren, and I have nothing left. Please, help me." The Ogugu snake's eyes gleamed with a sinister light. "I can grant you wealth beyond your imagination," it said. "But wealth comes with a price. Are you willing to pay it?" Udo hesitated. "What is the price?" "Your riches will come from the lives of others. The destinies will be taken to feed your fortune. Each time you prosper, someone in your village will suffer. Do you accept?" Blinded by his desperation, Udo agreed. He pledged his loyalty to the Ogugu snake, swearing never to betray a pact. That very night, he returned home to find his barren fields miraculously overflowing with crops. Bags of gold appeared in his hut, and soon, he rose from poverty to become the wealthiest man in Yimiober. But the price became evident almost immediately. Neighbors began to complain of bad luck. One man's son fell ill without reason. Another's crops failed despite the rains. Udu avoided their eyes, convincing himself that his newfound fortune was worth the suffering of others. For years, the pact remained hidden, and Udu enjoyed his wealth. But as time passed, the Ogugu snake grew restless. The spirit demanded a greater price, warning Udu that betrayal would lead to unimaginable suffering. And so, the shadow of the pact loomed over Udu's life, threatening to unravel everything he had built. The new year was fast approaching, and the village of Yimiober was alive with excitement. Chief Udu's annual giveaways were the highlight of the season. But beneath the celebrations, strange occurrences began to unsettle the villagers. In one household, a young woman named Ada fell gravely ill. Her family had no explanation for her sudden weakness. "It's as if her spirit has been drained," her mother wept. In another part of the village, a farmer named Okeke found his yams rotting overnight, despite storing them carefully. The misfortunes spread like wildfire, and the villagers began to connect the dots. "It's as if our blessings are being stolen," the elders whispered among themselves. Meanwhile, Udo remained aloof, avoiding the growing unease in the village. Yet, even within the walls of his grand mansion, Udo could not escape the signs of the curse. Each night, he was haunted by terrible dreams. He saw the Ogugu snake slithering through his house, hissing warnings in its deep, chilling voice. "You owe me, Udo. The price must be paid." The nightmares became so vivid that Udo often woke drenched in sweat, clutching his chest. One night, he lit a lamp and paced the grand halls of his home. "This cannot go on," he muttered to himself. "I have given the villagers so much. Surely, I have atoned for my sins." But the snake's grip was unrelenting. The more Udo tried to appease his guilt by giving, the worse his torment became. One evening, as he sat in his study, a loud crash echoed through the house. He rushed to the source of the noise and found a mirror shattered on the floor. But what froze his blood was the reflection in the shards. He saw the Ogugu snake coiled behind him, its eyes glowing with fury. Terrified, Udo fled into the village, seeking the counsel of the elders. But the villagers were no longer as welcoming as before. They had noticed his unease, his growing fear, and the peculiar connection between the misfortunes and his unexplained generosity. "Chief Udo," one elder finally said, "we don't want your gifts anymore. We want the truth. What is the source of your wealth?" Udo's heart pounded in his chest. The walls were closing in, and he realized there was no escape. The truth he had buried for so long was about to surface, and with it, the root of the Ogugu snake. The villagers of Yimiober gathered at the town square, their faces lit by the flickering flames of torches. Chief Udo stood before them, trembling as he faced their piercing gazes. Behind the crowd, the forest loomed, its shadows deep and foreboding. "Speak, Chief Udo," an elder commanded. "What have you done to bring this curse upon us?" At first, Udo hesitated, his pride battling his fear. But the weight of his guilt, combined with the ominous presence of the Ogugu snake that seemed to linger in every corner of his mind, finally broke him. He sank to his knees, tears streaming down his face. "I did it," he confessed, his voice trembling. "Years ago, I made a pact with the Ogugu snake. I was desperate. My family was starving, and I saw no other way. The spirit promised me wealth in exchange for the destinies of others. And I agreed." The crowd erupted in gasps and murmurs. A young man named Shaik pushed through the throng, his face filled with rage. "So it was you," he shouted. "You stole my future. I was supposed to be the best farmer in this village, but my land has yielded nothing for years. How could you do this to us?" Udu's head hung low as more villagers stepped forward, each recanting their misfortunes, the lost children, the failing businesses, the shattered dreams. Amid the chaos, a voice rose above the crowd. It was Frank, a brave and wise young man who had suffered quietly for years. "Enough," he said, his tone commanding. "Chief Udo may have wronged us, but vengeance will not solve our problems. We must destroy the source of this curse, the Ogugu shrine." A hush fell over the villagers. The shrine had always been shrouded in fu, a place no one dared approach. But Frank's courage ignited a spark in their hearts. Slowly, they nodded in agreement. That night, armed with torches and resolve, the villagers followed Frank and Chief Udo into the forest. The air grew colder as they neared the shrine, and the sound of hissing filled their ears. When they arrived, the Ogugu snake awaited them, its massive body coiled around the shrine. Its eyes glowed with fury as it hissed, "You dare to defy me?" The villagers hesitated, their courage faltering. But Frank stepped forward, holding a torch high. "You have no power over us anymore," he shouted. "Your lies end here." With a collective cry, the villagers tore down the shrine, smashing its sacred mound and scattering the offerings. The Ogugu snake writhed in fury, its body thrashing as its power weakened. With one final, piercing hiss, it vanished into the darkness. Chief Udo collapsed to the ground, sobbing. The curse was broken, but the weight of his actions still bore heavily on his soul. The morning after the destruction of the Ogugu shrine, the village of Yimioba woke to a new dawn. The air felt lighter, and a strange calm settled over the land. Birds sang sweet melodies, and the once withered fields began to show signs of life. It was as if the curse that had gripped the village for years had been lifted. Chief Udo stood at the center of the village square, humbled and broken. The villagers, though still hurt by his actions, gathered around him. Frank stepped forward, his voice steady and filled with wisdom. "Chief Udo has done terrible things," Frank began. "But he has also helped free us from the grip of the Ogugu snake. We must now decide whether to cast him out or allow him to atone for his sins by rebuilding this village with us." There was a moment of silence. Again an elder spoke, his voice heavy with age but firm with conviction. "Yimioba is a place of second chances. Let him stay and work for the good of the people. But he must earn back our trust." Udo fell to his knees, bowing his head. "Thank you," he whispered. "I will spend the rest of my life making amends. My wealth will no longer be a symbol of greed but a tool for rebuilding this community." True to his word, Udo began to redistribute his riches. He funded the repair of homes, bought seeds for farmers, and built a school for the children of Yimioba. He worked alongside the villagers, his once proud hands now calloused from honest labor. As for Frank, he became a symbol of hope and courage. The villagers looked to him for guidance, and under his leadership, Yimioba flourished. The land grew fertile, and the people thrived as they had never done before. Years later, Udo, now an old man, stood before the village to deliver his final message. "Greed led me astray," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. "But your forgiveness saved me. Let this village be a testament to the power of unity and redemption." The villagers cheered, their voices rising into the sky like a song of triumph. The story of Yimioba and the Ogugu snake became a legend, passed down through generations as a reminder that no one can escape the consequences of their actions. And so, the village of Yimioba, once cursed and broken, became a beacon of hope, teaching all who heard its tale that good will always triumph over evil. Thank you for watching. If you're new on this channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell to be notified anytime we post interesting stories like this. Bye for now.